Good morning, family. I am Janet Davis, and I'll be your reader this morning. The theme for 2023 is Living Out Loud. The theme for April is The Power of Vulnerability. Today's topic is vulnerability, seeing and being seen. To support our topic today, let us contemplate this passage from A Course in Miracles. See the love of God in you, and you will see it everywhere because it is everywhere. And let us also contemplate this message from sociologist and author Brene Brown, who wrote, "We cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known. And when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that, offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection." Let us mindfully affirm together. I allow myself, I allow myself to see and be seen. And with that, we bring up Reverend Dr. Kathleen.
Take a moment and just look around this room at all of the amazingly beautiful, unique ways in which the divine is showing up all around you. And what a blessing. What a blessing. And so let us begin at the beginning, because I think I always like to put things in context. There is one source, one life, one power, one creative intelligence, love intelligence, from which all life arises. What does that mean for us? Each one of us then are unique, individualized, one-of-a-kind expressions of that source. And it's amazing to think of the infinite variety in which this one life shows up as each one of us. And that's why I wanted you to look around the room and just be reminded of that. And we, as we immerse ourselves in the awareness of the infinite variety and the richness and diversity of life, it uplifts us, it enriches us when we truly embrace that. And that's one of the things I love about our spiritual teaching and I love about our spiritual community, is that we are beautiful representations of that uniqueness, that diversity, and that many amazing ways in which spirit is showing up. And yet, with all of our diversity, I believe we share a common purpose. And that purpose is to be the presence of love in our own unique way as we move through this thing called life on planet Earth in these earth suits that we're wearing while we're here. Eternal beings in these amazing earth suits in connection with each other. And I love that we continue to remind ourselves that we are not only here to be that presence of love, but to co-create, use the powers that we are given, the creative power we're given, to co-create heaven on earth, a world that works for all. A world that works for all, not just people here in the room or in this country, but all over the world. And it's just so beautiful that we have representation here now from Kenya today. A spokesperson, Joyce, who's going to be speaking in just a few moments. I'm going to keep this very short because she has a wonderful talk. But I want all of you to realize with me how this is unfolding for us as a community. You know, we're opening our hearts to each other, to people in the community. We've reached out beyond our community into the general areas. We've done various projects. This is the next extension all the way around to Kenya, in the continent of Africa. becoming beings whose hearts are as wide as the world. And so I'm very excited about that because it's the continued unfolding of the vision of the community that began at before the beginning of this community and continues with our visioning core as we continue to see the next version of ourselves as community. And so I'm really excited. I have like God bumps. I'm so excited about all of this. So today the topic, which is seeing and being seen, seeing the amazing divinity in each other, beyond, including the earth suits, but the amazing divinity in each one of us, understanding our inner connection, our connection to the one source of all this life, and then also understanding that as we see others from that perspective and see ourselves from that perspective, then we are more courageous in being seen, in letting our hearts open, working through our challenges so that we can eliminate the barriers to love that may stand in the way in our subconscious minds. We might be aware of it, we might not be aware of it, but the thing that I love about this entire year living out loud is that each topic, or the themes of each month and the topics, are all in support of taking down the barriers to love so that we can be fully present with each other in our amazing uniqueness. So, seeing the divine and being seen through sharing challenges and our life stories. Speaking of life stories, Marshall Rosenberg. Anybody familiar with Marshall Rosenberg? He's done a lot of work with nonviolent communication and all over the world. And I've read his books. I've taken some seminars on his work, and they're just ways of communicating. He talks about communicating from the viewpoint of the giraffe. Where you get the big, broad overview of what's going on in a conversation, so that you can speak from a higher place. Well, one of the things that I heard about him, and I actually heard about this from Jean Houston too, because she did a little bit of international peace work, is that the first thing that they would do when they would sit down in circle, let's say from the people in Ireland who were in conflict, the Catholics and the Protestants, they would be sitting around together in a circle, or whether it was the Arabs and the Jews with some Middle East work, he and she both began with, "Tell me about your life." And so as each person, some who considered each other enemies, right, told their stories about their families, their communities, their hopes and dreams, what do you guess happened? Hearts opened. Hearts opened, and they began to see each other in a new light as people, maybe not exactly like them, but people who had similar hopes and dreams and experiences of family life and just wanted peace. So how powerful is that? So sharing our challenges as well as our life stories, so important. This is a dimension of vulnerability that really supports us in not staying stuck in the story, right? Particularly if it's a story that's not serving us, but being able to, and this is the next part, seeing ourselves, being able to witness our own stories and also learning to listen for, well, what is this about the story that's not serving me? What perspective is not serving me? So that we can begin to break down the barriers in ourselves as we witness our own stories. So seeing ourselves, and in the process then we can see the thought patterns that create the emotions, that create the actions that we take, and that create how our life turns out, how it pictures and how we relate with other people. It's an opportunity to really transform as we tell our stories if we're really listening to ourselves. It's important to develop that observer consciousness, which meditation practice does. And then we begin to see ourselves and others with compassion and love. Some years ago, I attended a forgiveness workshop, and the facilitator had everybody stand around the room and went around and put all of these circles, like 3 circles in front of each person, and said, okay, this circle is you, that circle is the person that you're having challenges with, and that circle is the impartial observer. And so then we were asked to step into our own circle and talk about our grievance, and then we would step into the circle of the person that we had a grievance with, breathe, get in touch with their perspective and speak from their perspective. And then we went over to the impartial observer and we spoke from that perspective. This kind of work is what will really help us develop compassion, understanding, and opening our hearts to others. I love that. That was so powerful. So seeing does not mean seeing people from how we think they should be. It means seeing them with present moment eyes, seeing them with a gentle gaze of awareness as the unique individualization of spirit that they are. And as we practice this, we do grow in understanding and compassion and solution, learning how to come to solution and resolution. Vulnerability also means that we make space for learning, for using our mistakes for learning. And here at the Center for Spiritual Living Delaware, we are intentionally creating safe spaces to see beyond the veil of separation to the divinity in each other, so that we can feel seen and accepted for who we are. This happens in our classes. This happens in our care circles. We have 2 right now, the Power of 8 circle, and we now have prayer circles, which will not be today because of the activities going on, but we're going to be, the practitioners are going to be continuing to lead prayer circles up on the stage after service, and it's an opportunity for us to share our challenges, to be seen, to see and be seen for who we are, and to support each other by being a healing presence and sharing our love through prayer or through group intention. Jane Mock said, I believe that telling our stories, first to ourselves and then to one another and to the world, is a revolutionary act. Why revolutionary? It requires us to stand in our truth, to be authentic, and to also be vulnerable. It's revolutionary because we are asked to be vulnerable in order to move forward. And it's a breakthrough. It's an opportunity to break through the seeming walls of separation, and to begin to see each other as brothers and sisters of the one source. Brothers and sisters in service to one another, in love with one another. And so I'd like to conclude what I'm saying by introducing Joyce Tanian, who represents Water, and she's the founder of Water is Life Kenya, serving communities over there. And I love the idea of our community interfacing now with the communities of Kenya today through your story, Joyce, your story. And an opportunity for us to see into the heart and soul of Joyce as she shares the courage, I'm sure, the incredible courage it takes to have that big of a vision and to be willing to follow it. And so I really honor you because you are an example of living out loud, and being vulnerable. So let's everybody stand and give her a standing ovation in advance.